Treasure does too. And I think you want to neutralize that option. I think you want to stay away from chaos. And on a map like Inferno, I think they can play with the qualities of the game to their speed. I mean, they can control the pace of the game very well. And I mean, you already talk about the chemistry between the five of these players on ODDIK, and I would take that chemistry not even nine. I'd take it 10 times out of 10 in comparison to what I saw from the Bounty Hunters. So it's going to be a real tall task here for Kaiser to kind of get his players in line here, especially after some of those rounds lost on Nuke.
Yeah, I think we saw some individual efforts from Mayor and Turtle, right? And on a couple of occasions where things were going well, but they were always, as I mentioned, individual efforts. It was never really the team coming together and making something happen versus on the other side, ODDIK were a unit, a force to be reckoned with. Zoc going to get a trade back here after ODDIK at the opening frag. 4v4, and Bounty Hunters have managed to build themselves up here towards top of Banana. Do they have any util? They do. They have quite a bit. Smoke, a Molotov, 2 nades, and a flash. They're going to have to deploy those effectively up against what is, I think, 0 util left. Well, there's a flash, excuse me, for Pankin. Now they're going to come in, and Case-Lock's got the dualies. He's taking care of business. Matios as well. This is, well, continuing to be ODDIK on the board.
I mean, mid-range dually fights are not the easiest to take.
Yeah.
Like, if you're playing first orange, maybe it's a little easier, but Case-Lock's made those 2 kills look very easy, so credit to him. Even just finding one off that pool kill would have been enough, but does a lot of great work there. And ODDIK not falling for the bait after the pause from the Bounty Hunters once that smoke goes up. They actually called the bluff pretty instantaneously and pulled that third player over, so it was going to be their round no matter which way you cut it. And now the T side have got to go for the full eco. They don't get really any headway, so you've just got that solitary deagle from Zoc, who I believe has more kills than he had on Nuke.
Did he get a frag on Nuke? We didn't really track
I
that,
gotta
right?
check. I gotta check. Hold on. Yeah,
right.
he was killless. So he had a .03 rating. So
do we really have to? Okay.
I've never seen a rating like that in my life, so I had to bring that up.
I can't blame you for sure. Yeah, well, it's at least gonna be. Hey, he's got 2 now, so that's something. And Bernino managed to connect on Case-Locks, and he picks up the M4. He could win this round here. Bernino, they're pressuring him. Pank and Woody have the MP9s. Oh, that shot's going to be the difference maker. Yep, threading the needle. I think it was Pank on the headshot, and then he finished the job 2-0. But again, you know, like, that was exciting for the Bounty Hunters, but just an individual effort from Bernino, right? He pops out, he gets 1, picks up the M4, and starts to do some damage. But outside of that, you know, they couldn't really bring the pieces together to really punish ODDIK on what was a bit of a sloppy play.
Right, objectively, the game plan was not anything to celebrate. It does come down to a singular player breaking through that mold. But the guns come out now, and we'll see what that initial plan is from Kaiser and what he has to play around with here. Straight away top car control, and T-side want to go fighting, and Total gives up a little bit of an early sound cue. Naite is there, and Naite will double down alongside his sitemate. No trade potential available, and that early gambit from the Bounty Hunters do not pay at all.
Yeah, and now they're all spread out across the map in one-and-done situations at most, and, well, 0 and done for Bernino, unfortunately, as Matios is going to drop him. Zoc, who has had his reawakening here on Inferno, looking for a third and perhaps an impact on this round. He will get that third, but unfortunately for him, he takes a lot of damage in finding it. So he drops down off that balcony, throws the smoke for Moto, taps a shot in the direction of Case-Locks, and I mean, obviously he's trying to make amends for that previous map, no question, but it's still going to be a tough task. He's got control of A, but the bomb is all the way over at bottom Banana, so it's already going to take at least 10 seconds to get to this A site, but it's not going to be an easy path because you got Woody and Case-Locks, and now Pank watching. Case-Locks gets one onto Zoc, and Woody finishes off Kaiser. There were just too many bodies in their way to try and make something happen there.
Yeah, I like the idea that they're trying to split into that A bomb site, but again, just so many bodies bled before that initial game plan that you can't do that. I mean, it's hard enough to breach that A bomb site with 5 players when you're trying to break down all those crossfires that you've got on, from pit to site to arches. It's even harder to do it with 3 players, so truly unfortunate situation for them there. Just trying to make the best out of a bad situation. But they don't find any sort of damage. Instant timeout being called. And right now, it's a 16-1 run for ODDIK across the series, so can't really paint any pretty pictures here.
Not really at all. I'm trying to see how many rounds in a row it is at this point. We've got, was it 5, 10, 13? Yeah, 13 rounds in a row at this point for ODDIK, going back to the previous map. It's pretty nice for them. Bounty Hunters, look, they've got the Tech 9s here. Maybe they're going to make a fast play and it'll work out, but those nades aren't going to make their life very good at this point, although it doesn't do as much damage as you'd expect. Only Turtle going down to below half health. Everyone else pretty healthy. Naite peeks around, sees a body, doesn't connect on the shots, and Bounty Hunters are readjusting. I think they wanted to go for a quick pop towards the B site, but it doesn't really work out, so they readjust themselves towards A.
Ooh, and they just catch the bait as well. They're going to go straight into Matio's crosshairs. Brunino finds one trade, but, I mean, look at this absolute domination on the brackets. 3 players to greet them straight away. Everywhere you go, Bounty Hunters seemingly walk into a stack. And, I mean, this is just the nightmare situation when you play on Inferno on the T side. It feels like you're playing against 6 players when rotations are this efficient.
It's, yeah, truly ridiculous. It feels like there's just no way to get past. And you gotta, I mean, it's tough. It's tough for the Bountyers, let's say, coming through here. Because they're really unable to find anything in either direction of this map, whether it be Banyuk or Inferno. And I mean, look, what do you do? What do you do there? Kai's just trying to get everything set up, util out, and Naite runs right into him. And I think this is another problem for the Bounty Hunters is now, ODDIK's got a ton of confidence. They're just taking the aggressive fights. And even when Bounty Hunters are trying to play a little slow and get things going and set up a proper execute, they can't.
That's got to be punished, man. That's got to be punished to play ahead of that util like that, and it just doesn't. But, hey, Zoc is doing work to Case Locks on the other end, and that is something to write home about. Woody, don't think he necessarily wanted to make that jump, but he'll throw down an incendiary to get him out of dodge. And they'll reset the situation. Still 3 players on this A bomb site, and still Naite will continue to puff his chest over on that B bomb site. Bounty Hunters have never called the bluff on that end, so until they figure that out, this bracket side is still going to feel healthy, and finally they're considering it. They've gotten themselves brackets. They're starting to starve the CTs of information, and now it might be their opportunity at cracking through here on Inferno. They're going to wait for this smoke to fade, or maybe they just might pop it open. But Naite really has his work cut out for him.
Yeah, I mean, 23 seconds left. There is an incendiary for Pank, but he's not in a position to throw it, so he leaves Naite to his own devices, and Naite will only do a little bit of damage. Pank might not be expected here. He's not, so there's a headshot onto Turtle. There's the smoke a little late to save Turtle's life, and Woody finds Bernino from the other angle. They brought this back 3v2 advantage in favor of ODDIK. Mayern and Zoc hanging on for dear life, and Mayern misses the shot. He gets tagged instead. Oh my goodness, now they know where he is. Zoc, this is just ridiculous. Woody gets the last 2, a 3K for him on the round. I thought Zoc might have a chance, but Woody just flies, I don't want to say flies to smoke, he crouches through the smoke, seemingly with a radar on his head, looking where Zoc was, and then goes for the last on the B side, excuse me. Just really well done.
The Woody spam is so ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a player in church that has been dealt with and seemingly should be dead through spam, but the guardian angel from deep CT spawn to get you the kill back and keep that player alive was absolutely immense. And they make a 3v2 retake look simple on that B bomb site. And even if it's a man advantage, it's still a hard thing to do, I feel like, on this map. And now again, the Bounty Hunters want to get aggressive in Banana, but there's 3 players starting out here initially, John, and Bonk is here for the 2-for-1.
I mean,
so much util.
Look, they're going to get the trade back, so it's 3v3, but you got to expect that if you're Bounty Hunters, that they're going to stack the top Banana. It's very common for the CTs to send 3 players there at the beginning, get a ton of util toss, and then fade off a little bit, or just take the fights. And, well, they just took the fights. There's Woody finding Kaiser. So now a 3v2 in favor of ODDIK. The bomb is down towards bottom banana, but I don't believe that was spotted by ODDIK. So maybe a little bit of an edge for the bounty hunters for Nino. You gotta hit those. You gotta hit those shots, my friend. Matios turns on him and will get the frag. Zoc, the last one standing in a 1v3. Moving in, looking for targets. Didn't expect this to be the situation given the way things started out, but so it is. And he will not be able to finish off Case Lock. 6-0 for ODDIK, who just can't seem to lose rounds, it seems.
I mean, they're finding. I mean, now it's even worse, right? Because you're finding players alone, and you just can't kill the one player that's on the bomb site. The rotation's miles away. I mean, this feels like some of the pugs I play on this map, man. I'll tell you what. Like, I feel like I go up brackets, I see 3 players. I go up car, I see 3 players. It's not fair. It's not fair. That's probably what he's saying. How do I outcall this? And it's hard. It doesn't necessarily even feel like there's a right answer because they're trying so hard to get early car control. They can't do it. They try early brackets control. They can't do it. I mean, eventually you're going to want to call a set piece, but if you have no control, how do you call a set piece?
I mean, yeah, no, I agree. And they were trying to do it 2 rounds in a row at least right there, but they just couldn't because there was just so much going on the other side from ODDIK. And I mean, at a certain point, you have to say, okay, let's just wait out the util at top banana and hold on while the smokes fade, even though you're probably waiting at least 30 seconds and a little bit more because another smoke will probably come through. But they got to be a little more patient because these quick fights are not going their way ever. Right here, though, is an example of when they maybe shouldn't be too patient with Tech 9s out. They want to go for those fast plays, and I think it could materialize for them here. They just need to bunch up and go and blitz. Like, that's it. Keep it simple because it's nothing else is really working.
They had to smoke up temporarily, but they're going to have to throw a smoke again. Either way, the base of mid is difficult to breach through. They're going to go charging in. Here comes that utility. Instant boost, though, that should potentially deal with this problem. Case Locks finds 2, but Turtle with a couple of his own. That's huge. That puts all the pressure on Woody. He gets rid of that arch pressure, and Kaiser finally relieves some more pressure building here on this A bomb side. It's all up to Naite. Surely this is the round that the bounty hunters convert. And, his body spotted there. Kaiser now pushed to the back of the bomb site, and he's aware. Naite's so aware what the crossfire is at this point. He's just waiting for Zoc to show his face. And eventually he will, but that's such a hard angle to clear if you're the CT side. It's an unlikely round, but the bounty hunters get it done.
But I tell you, keep it simple. Go out, throw the bodies at ODDIK, and maybe it'll work. And it does. Like, they send 4 players down lane, 1 lurking around. Well, I wouldn't say lurk, but rotating around from arch side. And they're able to surround the last player standing after they get the trades on the first 2. So I should say last player standing on the A site. And then it goes well for them. You know, they only have to deal with the last one rotating around from B. And bounty hunters, there you go. Finally, a round on the board. Again, though, similar to the round they got on Nuke, not necessarily convincing in a lot of ways. So they need that follow-up. Need 2 in a row, which they haven't had for the entire BO2. Kaiser does find the opener here. And a lot of damage done onto Naite, so maybe we're seeing flickers of something materializing here for the bounty hunters, Paladin.
Yeah, maybe so, and another one of those times where they finally got themselves a man advantage. Zoc taking control of brackets here, putting a little bit more pressure on this A-bomb site, waiting for this smoke to fade. Now he's going to encroach.
I feel like they're not going to clear Pank, man. I feel like they're not going to clear him.
It's just going to be so difficult. I mean, they can still go 1-for-1. It still might not be a bad option, but the trigger discipline from Punk here. He's going to wait until he can spot that second player, and there, finally a second shows. There's 3 lined up, and he finds the third dink as well. Beautiful work there from Punk. Now this double pit setup should work. There's no way they're going to read Barrios here late round. He finds himself 1, can't spot out the head. I thought he spotted it, but he readjusts. It puts it all onto Myron. He's got the AWP, not known to be an opper, but we'll have to get it done either way. Economy in the bin, and he finds the flick, but it's not enough. Naite there in the 1v1. And brutal scenes there for the bounty hunters as they just feel red-faced after that one.
Yeah, no question. I mean, oh my God. Like, I could just see it coming a mile away because of the way that smoke was thrown, just the fact that it was covering the edge of the cubby a little bit. I'm like, I don't know. I feel like they're just going to psychologically think this is clear for whatever reason and not look at all, even though you should never assume that cubby is clear because it is one of the most common spots that a CT is going to hold when there's a lot of pressure occurring. And usually you're going to see teams clear that out, but I don't know. Something told me they wouldn't and they didn't. Pank almost gets the 3K, but it's enough damage to bring ODDIK back into the round. And after that, they just kind of stumble over their own feet. Do the bounty hunters getting into that A site and unable to hold on. 7-1 for ODDIK, and I was thinking maybe they're going to, okay, Kaiser gets the opener again onto Naite. Matios takes a ton of damage as well, so maybe they can still make up for that round loss, but that's just one where you've got to be winning, especially the way this BO2 has gone.
Yeah, I mean, again, they've got another 5v4 that they can at least be excited about, but no brackets control and no car control off of that pick as well, so in this kind of case, you just got to be at a standstill, maybe hope for some CTB aggression, something that would happen very often on Nuke, but has yet to really happen here on Inferno. Turtle will finally take some space, though. Try to encroach upon Banana. He'll get himself car control at least, so they're continuing to put on some issues here for the CT side. Smoke deployed by Punk. They'll trade blows in that regard. Ooh, the spam. Outlining Punk there. And that'll, I think, essentially just reroute them back to the A side. No rotation comes in, so there's 3 players still strong with 25 seconds left here, John.
That's a phenomenal read from ODDIK to realize, yeah, it's probably just one player doing a bit of a distraction there. Pank plays it patient, doesn't call for the reinforcements. So, yeah, now they've got the reinforced A site up against 5 players. 15 seconds left. Is there an incendiary? There is. I don't know if it's going to make a difference. Probably just the rifles. Well, Woody and Matios connecting. Now it gets even more difficult. 7 seconds left. They're losing all the bodies. ODDIK with the correct read and the round victory as well. 8-1. The Bounty Hunters, the last 2 rounds, they've looked so good. And this time, they just take too long to execute Paladin. They should have been out there way sooner trying to challenge. I would even argue they should have rotated to that B site and played off of, the smoke that was thrown there by, I can't remember who it was, but either way, they had space gained for the bounty hunters, and instead they go for the A play. I think they were hoping that that was going to sell it, but it wasn't enough. ODDIK weren't biting at all, and Pank wisely doesn't call for reinforcements. I think that's a difference maker. The comms were excellent for ODDIK.
Yeah, and I think in that situation, yes, the bounty hunters took too long, but they also didn't have any utility. It felt like every player on that A site was completely fine and could take every duel that they wished. And at that point, I mean, CTs are gonna love that. That's just the nature of Inferno A site altogether. So yeah, a lot of work to do here, especially with just the utility management as well.
I think we have to also point out, Kaiser's got 3 openers in a row. Like, he's got 3 opening duels won. You've got to be working with that more effectively. Those last 2 rounds really should have been round victories. And I agree with you. You know, lack of util was also a factor. But if you do have a lack of util, use it on the site instead of faking, right? You need to use it effectively. And I don't know. A little weird. Again, you know, right after the opening frag comes through, 2 from ODDIK. This time, Turtle managed to get the trade to keep the numbers even, but look who's here. It's Pank, waiting for the duel. Pank sees the back, gets the shot. Matios, in the meantime, takes care of Kaiser, and then a beautiful 2-tap to the head of Zoc. It is all ODDIK all the time. 9-1 in their favor.
I mean, dealing with the chaos so well. They've got these proper protocols in place where, you know, if one angle is given up, they're going to swing off the other. It's fundamental Counter-Strike, but it's done at a pretty high level. And, I mean, it's something that you mentioned on Nuke, John, of just like, just the classes, the difference in classes between these 2 teams. And it's just second to none right now for ODDIK.
Yeah, you can see the difference between a team that's gelled together. And yes, they've had their, oh my God. Oh my God, the util. I mean, look, the first frag does go the bounty hunter's way, but the damage from the nades was immense. Naite gets a couple. Woody finishes off Zoc, and now the 2 healthy players are left, so a chance for the bounty hunters. And Mayor does manage to cross here. Maybe a bomb plant. Yeah, definitely a bomb plant comes through. So they have site control. Right idea for Kaiser to watch Banana, but now he pulls away from it, and that could be the mistake. He does get one. Okay, no. He turns around. Case Locks wins the duel with him, so now it's Mayern up against Case Locks and Matios. Oh my goodness. Case Locks will... Actually, Matios will take care of Mayern, and that will do it. So again, you know, the Bounty Hunters are finding bomb sites. They're finding man advantages for 4 rounds in a row. The rounds are just eluding them, and another 10-1 scoreline to stare down on, and perhaps 11-1 back-to-back leads at the first half for ODDIK coming through.
Yeah, it's another one of those situations where you're thinking, they've got themselves their 2v2,
Yeah.
they're favored in the post play on the B bomb site, but even after they get rid of Woody, it's like Woody's just stalling for so long, right? I mean, he's just a nuisance. I mean, he's not hitting shots necessarily. He got a couple, but in that situation, if they can't even deal with him, they're like, screw it. We've got to cross. We've got to get the bomb down. And by the time they've all figured all this out, you've already got a player coming in from Banana. You've got a player coming from Speedway as well. It's pretty much over. And another one of those situations similar to Nuke, where the bomb goes down and the round's over in 10 seconds. Like, they're not able to get dug into emo. They're not able to get into new box. It's just not you don't get those strong post plant angles that you can really hang your hat on as a T. And that's just credit to ODDIK. It's never letting them feel comfortable in any kind of situation. It's smart CS.
Yeah, they're literally pushing them up against the wall. I don't want to say literally, but they're figuratively pushing them up against the wall because they don't have their hands on them. But either way, it's just they don't let up on that pressure, like you were mentioning. And they're looking at the possibility again of finding an 11th round here and repeating what they did on Nuke. Case Locks looking around with the AK. Wants to find that first fight, and at the very least the Bounty Hunters have won control of Banana in this round, so they're all 3 of them are at the top of Banana now. There's that smoke thrown. Ooh, Woody, that's a pretty big miss. He had a wide open target in Turtle, but can't connect on it. So now gets the information at the very least. Turtle will get the frag onto Woody. Do they expect another player to be here? I would imagine so. There's Nite gone as well. Okay. They have to win this round now, Paladin. It's a 5v3. Full control of the B site. They even have players who are watching out for rotations. This has to be a second.
Unlosable.
Yes.
I'll say it right here. Unlosable. We'll see what they can do. Well, I hope they don't make me eat my words in this kind of a situation. But they'll give their crack at it here, ODDIK. Oh, the spam's good on to Kaiser.
I think that nade's going to be good too.
That nade, yeah. I think it's going to be an incendiary there in this situation. It'll hit the mark, I believe. Yeah, they get rid of the new box player, and Kaiser still stands tall, and that should be enough. There's absolutely no time. They're kissing in the smoke, and it should be at least a second round, a semi-silver lining here for the Bounty Hunters at the half. We'll take a little bit of a break, and we'll see if they can bounce back at all here on Inferno. perhaps a glimmer of hope here for the Bounty Hunters as they notch one extra round here on Inferno, but the narrative is largely the same. ODDIK are in commanding lead here on Inferno and look to dominate this best-of-1 series. Paladin and John here to take you through this last bit.
I mean, let's be real. Bounty Hunter should have had 5 rounds in that half at a minimum. And I mean, 3 in a row looked so solid for them. They just managed to, in a lot of ways, find a way to lose. So we'll see if they can build off of, like you said, that last round victory where things actually looked pretty solid for them. They got a 5v3 onto the bomb site. It was their best round by far. But now they got to switch sides over to the defensive end. Woody? Going to look for a fight in towards the A site. This is absolutely an A hit. They do have one player towards B. That's Naite, lurking around. Maybe hoping to take a fight and drag some attention over towards that B site before his teammates execute on A. But it feels like they're getting a little reticent to go for A, but the bomb is the last player back, so they need to be careful about how they deploy this.
Yeah, very awkward situation. You've still got this smoke that can be deployed by Meyer to slow things down, force a potential gray screen situation. The bomb has gotten back to brackets. Hasn't shown face just yet, but now Punk will have to take the first engagement. He'll have to duel with Brunino, and he can't win that fight. They'll go back into the B bomb site, into the dual Berettas, and maybe, just maybe, they found their way back in. 3v4 with the bomb plant potentially secured means that Bounty Hunters have a chance at bouncing back, but never say never in a post plant on the B site.
Yeah, especially in pistol round. I mean, this could go either way. Zoc pops out, and he's gone. So is Bernino, and there goes Myron as well. Just like that, in an instant, ODDIK get all 4. Don't lose a single player post-plant, and they're on to 11. Yeah, that's just how this has gone for the Bounty Hunters. That round
finally up the tempo, right? Like, they finally up the tempo on the retake, and they go full gray screen everywhere. Every player is watching for it. Nobody's in transition. That's just one of those, like, rounds that you lose and you're like, okay, then what do I do? Then, like, what do you want me to do? Nothing, I guess.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, they have to buy up here. There's really no choice. They need to fight for rounds. Kaiser's got the Nova. You don't see that very often. 2 MP9s and a 5.7. The 5.7 eats an 8. And then the Molotov sails, and they're just going to go fast into B and hope it works out. Not the greatest call, though, because Mayern's waiting atop boxes there. And gets the opening frag. ODDIK do eventually back off of it, and it looks like they're going to go for bracket control instead, which is probably the right call. Matios gets Zoc. There's Woody finding Bernino, and maybe they'll pincer into B. Who knows what they decide, but they've got all the map control in the world at this point. Matios finding Kaiser, and that's probably the round, because they've got full control of this A site. So that's, I mean, what we... Okay. Nice shot from Turtle. What I was going to say was, that's what we've really seen from ODDIK throughout the entirety of, you know, both maps, is their ability to adapt when situations are going a bit awry, right? You see them pushing up towards top banana. They lose that opening duel, and they immediately kind of wrap around towards that A site and don't really try to fight any further. Although Pank was left behind to try and keep people at bay, but it was a good decision, right? Especially knowing that your opponents don't have much. Mayern does manage to get another one, but again, this is just not important here for ODDIK. They're just trying to take fights and do more damage to the Bounty Hunters because they know that they won't have any cash in the next round should they lose these guns.
Yeah, exactly right. And I mean, look, you talk about those adaptations, and that only comes from a core that's been together for a really long time. And I do feel like in the South American scene, at least in this season of Counter-Strike, we've had so many changes, so many topsy-turvy declines in form, especially when I look at like 9Z, as we kind of talked about in our break, and when I talk about like Red Canids as well, they're not necessarily in that conversation. There's a sort of confidence and excitement about ODDIK because they've kept these players together, and you see the kind of proof in the pudding here when you bring Case Locks back in, when you have Matios in the lineup. It's just like they're all fitting right together. Every puzzle piece clicks right into place.
No question. I mean, they had a little bit of a rough patch, I think mid-March, but outside of that, it's been pretty rosy for them, honestly. And like you said, it's just because of that chemistry, because they built it up over a decent period of time. Naite, well, he's been a great entry for them, and you're seeing it again there onto Turtle. 5v4 in favor of ODDIK. I mean, they have Wasted no time here taking care of the bounty hunters. And again, well, they will lose a player on the other side. That's Case Locks, but you see they're not overcommitting to that fight. Case Locks kind of left to his own devices, which isn't great for him, but it gives ODDIK a chance to get a read on the situation.
The planted Naite all the way here at top car has an opportunity to potentially punish someone if they want to go for some mid-round aggression. But brackets will still be confirmed by ODDIK. They do not care about that aggression that came from the defensive end. And look at this, man. Naite's got a player on a silver platter, but Myron, great awareness there to clear it out. But the jig is up. It's all up to Kaiser here. 1v3 essentially on the bomb site, and he doesn't find anything. So the bomb should go down. 3v3 post plan. This is going to be a toughie, and they can't even get past the first test. Punk, man. So much work done, and he spotted out both of these players. Zoc lives on 1 HP, and this should be the end of Inferno. A late-ditch effort coming through that smoke, and Marioso will put the final nail in the coffin. Another destroying affair here from ODDIK as they just trounce through the bounty hunters.
Absolutely ridiculous how good ODDIK were throughout both maps. What was it, 26-3?